Okay, so it's time to take your exam on one-step equations. This video will help you to get ready for that. So make sure you take notes on all the examples, and you can use those notes on the exam, unless your teacher says you cannot. So if you need to rewind or stop the video at any time to make sure you understand these problems. All right, so here's problem number 1 in our exam review. And it is x plus 8 is equal to 12. So we're going to solve for x because that's the variable in this problem. X plus 8 equals 12. So as always, you first want to remember, what does our goal look like? So here's what it always looks like. If we're solving for x, we want x on the left side of the equal sign all by itself. And everything over here is going to go in this blank, and we'll figure out what goes in that blank in just a second. So let's look at this equation. Let's look at the left side of the equal sign. I've got x plus 8. What I want is x all by itself. So I have to get rid of that plus 8. And so I ask myself, what is the opposite of plus 8? Think about it. What's the opposite of a plus 8? Well, it's a negative 8. So we're going to subtract 8 on both sides. So here comes our minus 8 on both sides of that equal sign. What we do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side of the equal sign. All right, so let's look at the left side again. I've got that 8 minus 8. So 8 minus 8 is 0, so those cancel out. What I get on the left side is my x is still there, and my 8 minus 8 gives me a plus 0. On the right side of the equal sign, I've got 12 minus 8. So 12 minus 8 is equal to 4. Okay, so we get x plus 0 equals 4, but anything plus 0 is just itself. So x plus 0 in the next step, we simplify it down to just plain old x, and that 4 stays on the right side. So this is our solution. X is equal to 4. Remember, when you're doing these problems, you should check your work to make sure you did it correctly. Okay, so here's problem number 2 in our exam review. And this time I've got x minus 7 is equal to negative 12. So again, since x is the variable, we're going to solve for x on this problem. And so here's what we're going to have as our goal. X by itself on the left and everything else on the right side. And we'll find out what goes there in just a second. So I look at the left side of the equal sign. I've got my x there. And I notice I've got that minus 7. But I want x to be all by itself at the end. So I have to get rid of that negative 7 or that minus 7. And so I ask myself, what is the opposite of negative 7? What's the opposite of negative 7? It's positive 7. So I'm going to add 7 on both sides of that equal sign. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So here's my plus 7s on both sides of that equal sign. And so let's look at the left side. I've got a negative 7 plus 7. And so you think about it, negative 7 plus 7 is 0. So this is what our equation becomes now. On the left side, I get that x that comes down. It's still there. But 7 minus 7 becomes a plus 0. And so now on the right side, I've got negative 12 plus 7. And so negative 12 plus 7, you can do it in your head or you can use a calculator. But negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5. So here's our negative 5. So now I can just simplify the left side of the equal sign. Anything plus 0 is just plain old x. And so I get x equals negative 5. And that is our solution. All right, here's problem number 3 in our exam review. And notice that in the first two problems, we used addition and subtraction. But let's look at that left side of that equation here. I've got 5a. And so remember, that's not 5 plus a, that's not 5 minus a, it's not divided, 5 divided by a. That's 5 times a. So we're going to use multiplication and division on these problems. But let's always start out by remembering what our goal is. My variable is a in this case. It's not x. There's nothing wrong with having a variable of a. And so my goal now is going to be to have a, my variable, on the left side of the equal sign, and then a bunch of numbers or whatever we have on the right side of the equal sign. So this is what our goal looks like. So let's go back up to our equation. And I look at the left side, and I notice I've got 5 times a. And so I ask myself, what is the opposite of times 5 or 5 times something? Opposite of 5 times is divide by 5. So we're going to, the opposite of multiplication is division. So we will divide by 5 on both sides of our equation. So here comes our divided by 5, here comes our divided by 5. So remember, when you have a fraction, like here on the left side, that means 5a divided by 5. On the right side, that fraction means negative 15 divided by 5. So now on the left side, I've got 5 divided by 5. That's just 1, so those 5s are going to cancel. And what's left coming down is my a. That's all that's left when I divide those 5s. On my right side, I've got negative 15 divided by 5. So you can do this in your head possibly, or you can do it in your calculator. But negative 15 divided by 5 is equal to negative 3. So I've got a on the left side by itself. I've got a number on the right side. This is our solution. Okay, here is problem number 4 in our exam review. And so here's my equation. A divided by 3 is equal to negative 7. So our variable here is a, it's not x, it's a. And so this is what our goal is. We want to get a all by itself on the left side of the equal sign, and then some kind of a number on the right hand, which we'll figure out in just a minute. So I look at that left side of the equation, I've got a divided by 3. So I ask myself, what is the opposite of divided by 3? Well, the opposite of divided by 3 is multiply by 3. And so I'm going to multiply by 3 on both sides. And so here comes my times 3 on the left and my times 3 on the right. So let's look at the left side of the equation. I've got 3 over 3, which means 3 divided by 3. Well, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. Leaves me 1a, or just plain old simple a. So on the left side of the equal sign, all I have is a. On the right side, I've got negative 7 times 3. So again, some of you can do this in your head. Some of you might need a calculator. Do whatever you got to do. But negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. So now a is on the left side by itself. We've got negative 21 on the right. This is, in fact, our solution. Okay, this is problem number 5. We've got a total of 6 problems, so we're almost done with our review. Please make sure you're taking notes. So here's my equation. 5 is equal to a over negative 3. So in this problem, again, I've got my variable a on the right side of the equal sign. We're kind of used to having them on the left side, but I just want to show you it doesn't matter. You can have the variable on either side of the equal sign and it still works out. So let's first think about what our goal should look like. Since a is my variable, I'm going to want a by itself on the left side of the equal sign. And over here in this blank, we'll have some other number. We don't know what that is yet, but we're going to figure it out. So let's go back to our equation. I've got a divided by negative 3. I want a by itself. So I ask myself, how do I get rid of divided by negative 3? Or what is the opposite of divided by negative 3? Well, the opposite of division is multiplication. So to get rid of the divide, I will multiply both sides by negative 3 because I want that negative 3 to go away. So I will multiply both by negative 3 on both sides. So here's my negative 3's being multiplied on both sides of the equal sign. All right, so let's look at the left side first. I've got 5 times negative 3. So 5 times negative 3, use your head, use your calculator. 5 times negative 3 is, it's negative 15. So let's look at the right side. I've got that negative 3 over negative 3, or negative 3 divided by negative 3. Anything divided by itself is just 1. So those negative 3's cancel each other and go away, leaving me a all by itself. So now I've got negative 15 equals a. So we're used to having the variable at the left side when we're on our solutions. And so I can just put that a on the left side and put that negative 15 on the right side of our equal sign. And so now this looks like our goal. A is by itself on the left of the equal sign, and I've got negative 15. So this is our solution. Okay, this is our last problem in our review. So this is problem 6, and notice that this time we're going to solve for a variable named v. So here's our equation. 7 is equal to negative 14 plus v. So again, I don't have to use x as my variable. I can use any letter I want, like a or b or whatever, or in this case we're using v. So let's think about what our goal should look like. At the end, we're going to have v, our variable, equals, and some number, maybe 55 or whatever it happens to be. So let's go back and look at our equation. Here's my variable v. I'm going to start with that. I want v all by itself. So I have to get rid of that negative 14. And so I ask myself, what is the opposite of negative 14? The opposite of negative 14 or minus 14 is plus 14 or add 14 to both sides. Okay, so I'm going to add 14 to both sides. And so here are my 2 plus 14s, one on each side of the equal sign. So let's start on the left side of the equal sign. I've got 7 plus 14. So what is 7 plus 14? Use your head, use your calculator. 7 plus 14 is 21. So now on the right side, I've got that negative 14 plus 14. So those are opposite signs. That's the same thing as asking what's 14 minus 14. Well, that's just equal to 0. So here's my 0, and that v is still there. So I just simplify the next step. That 21 comes down, and 0 plus v is just v. So now my equation looks like this. 21 is equal to v, but I can switch those to make it look more normal. And so I'm going to put my v on the left side of the equal sign and my 21 on the right side, and I get v is equal to 21. And so this is our solution. Okay, so it's time to take your exam. So it will be a multiple choice exam, so make sure you answer all of your questions. You can use your notes unless your teacher tells you otherwise. So those notes you just took on those problems, you can use them unless your teacher says no. Please make sure there is no cell phone use allowed during exams. If you use your cell phone or any kind of electronic, your teacher will confiscate it. So get ready to close this video, and you can go to tinyurl.com/easylearning77. Look at today's date and click on exam. Good luck. Be confident this is an easy exam if you've kept up with this.